Well, hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Youth Got Next podcast. And I am here today with
Miles Richardson.
And we are on stop number 17
That's right.
of this flyover plan. And so I would encourage you, before we even jump into this one, go check out the other 16 episodes.
Yep.
We're just going through kind of like an overview, main stops of the Bible together. And we want you to join in on this with us.
Yes.
And so we would encourage you to go watch those videos as well, read along with us. And we're excited to just kind of go through this whole thing together.
Yeah.
And so today, we are talking about the story of Samson and Delilah.
Crazy story.
Samson and Delilah, crazy story. One of the more popular stories,
Definitely.
I feel like, of the Bible and specifically of the Old Testament for sure.
Yep.
As we were talking before this, I said that Samson used to be my favorite person from the Bible, one of my favorite Bible characters, just because he was strong.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that a little bit, but he was strong. And I was like, I just liked him because he was jacked. Like I just pictured in my mind this yoked dude, like 8-pack, like massive biceps. But we learned.
Yeah, YPT came in and crushed those dreams.
He crushed those Samson dreams and told us he actually wasn't yoked.
Yeah, he was just an average looking dude with supernatural strength.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, as we get into the story, you'll see like people were trying to figure out like, why is this guy so strong? Because he's not jacked like you would expect.
Yeah.
He's just strong.
He's just strong. God-given ability with strength.
And, you know, so learn that, which is awesome, but also crush
my dreams. Crush my 10-year-old dreams. All I wanted was to be yoked like Samson. But that was never real. I already am. Anyway, we're in the story of Samson and Delilah today.
Yep.
And right off the bat, let's just talk about why Samson is strong.
Right.
Why he has his strength. So why does he have this strength?
Yeah. So early on, like a couple chapters before where we're at, we're in chapter 16. In chapter 13, we see Samson is born and the instruction is given to his parents to not cut Samson's hair.
Yeah.
And they say that this is going to be a sign that he's chosen by God. And through that is, as long as Samson continues to have this sign of uncut hair, that would show that he trusts in God's promise here. And therefore he has this supernatural strength, like incredible strength.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. He's super strong. But what we're going to see in this story is that it kind of puts a target on his back.
Yep.
Like people, because he's so strong,
like they notice
he's a good warrior. Like, and
he
people
wins some battle. Like he's the dude.
Yes,
like he's strong.
Yeah, and they want to figure out what is going on. And so we see a second character enter into this story here.
We see his girl.
He's got a girl
that he's trying to bag.
Yeah.
And what is her name?
This is Delilah. And him and Delilah.
What happens with him and Delilah?
They've got a thing going on. Actually, in here, Delilah literally says the words like "I love you," and I was like, man, this is like there are some feelings here. But yeah, Samson and Delilah, they love each other, and
they do.
The problem is, Delilah is not all that she's made out to be. She has an ulterior motive here, and she is actually just kind of using this relationship to get at Samson.
Yes.
And Samson finds that out the hard way.
Yes. What we see here in the verse, I'll go ahead and read verses. I'll just read verses 4-5.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Go for it.
It says this: sometime later, Samson fell in love with a woman named Delilah who lived in the valley of Sorek. I think that's how you say that.
Sounds
We're just going to roll with it. Verse 5 says this: the rulers of the Philistines went to her being Delilah, and said this: entice Samson to tell you what makes him so strong and how he can be overpowered and tied up secretly. Then each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver.
Yeah.
This is what they're telling her. Like, okay, figure out, you two love each other. There's some sparks flying here. There's a thing going on here, like Miles said. And we know that he's strong.
Yep.
We know that he's strong. We don't want him to be strong anymore.
It's time for him to go.
We want to beat this guy.
Yeah.
We want to overpower and overtake this guy. And since they're a thing, Samson and Delilah, the Philistines asked Delilah, okay, figure out how to tie him up secretly.
Yep.
Figure out how is this dude so strong?
Right.
And we will give you money.
Yes.
Now, I don't see a specific number of like how many like rulers of the Philistines there are.
Right.
But it says they're each going to give her 1,100 pieces of silver.
Yes.
Which that's going to be a lot.
I'm trying to imagine that like in my hand, and 1,100 pieces of anything isn't going to fit in my hand.
But it's probably going to be multiple because it says each of us will do that. And so I don't know how much that exactly is, but that's going to be a lot.
Yep.
And so that's kind of the situation that's going on with what they tell Delilah to do. And Miles, so kind of walk us through what happens after that.
Yeah, so what we see is they're spending time together. They're all in love, and Delilah just kind of slides into this like conversation. Hey, like, what would it take actually for you to like lose your strength?
Yeah.
What is it that could be stronger than you are?
Yeah.
And so Samson tells her, what is it? First time, it's some dried straw, or the bowstring. That's what it is. Bowstring. That's right. Some bowstrings, and says, hey, if you were to like wrap me up with bowstrings, I couldn't get out of it. That'd be the end.
Yeah.
And so she does. She wraps him up in bowstrings, which for me, that's a red flag. Hey, what would take your strength away?
You would think
bowstrings.
he would be like, okay.
He's like, why is this happening? But
bowstrings, let's go.
Gets wrapped up in the bowstrings, and then Delilah, we find out, has some Philistines tucked away in another room. And so they're ready to go. And once he's wrapped up, she cries out. She's like, hey, the Philistines are like here to get us.
Yeah.
And what happens?
Boom.
Immediately.
Night to the bowstrings.
That's right.
Yes, that's what happens there.
They pop. It says that literally they snap as though they were burnt over fire. Like they're just done.
They're not just like broken a little bit.
Right.
Like they are like pretty much don't exist
It's
anymore.
like they didn't even matter.
It's like they didn't matter. So that happens. What happens again?
And so Delilah is like, bro, you lied to me. Like acts heartbroken and is like, how could you lie to me? I thought you loved me.
Yeah.
And you're making a fool out of me. Like, what is it that would actually take away your strength? And again, to me, red flag. Like you tried to trap me. Bad guys came. I got us out of the situation, and you're trying to trap me again.
Nothing's going to happen this time.
But what does he do?
Yeah. He tells her, okay, here's what would actually take away my strength. And in the verse, it says, Samson replied, if I were tied up with brand new ropes that have never been used.
Not used ropes.
Nothing, like you don't use them on anything. Okay, those are strong enough, then I would be. Strength's gone. Nothing would happen to me. It's just over. What do we see happen after that?
Boom! Straight out of there. Those ropes had nothing. Those ropes were not holding them down.
Awesome.
I feel like he should have seen it coming. So, he lied again, told her something that wasn't actually going to hold her back.
I'm sorry. I just wasn't expecting the...
Yeah, I wasn't either. Perfect. It just happened.
I love that. But that's funny.
That's how easily he got out, for real.
Yeah.
Got out of the ropes.
Yeah.
Again, she was like, the Philistines are here, which... That's another red flag. Why are the Philistines here twice in a row?
Yeah.
And they avoid the situation. And where do they find themselves again?
I think this one is kind of closer to like what actually happens. Like what he says now is, okay. I'll tell you what actually will take away my strength. And he says, if you were to weave the 7 braids of my hair into the fabric on your loom and tighten it up with the loom shuttle, I don't even know what that means compared to hair.
I don't know what a loom shuttle does.
I don't know what a loom is.
I know how bad it hurts to get your hair tied up in something, though.
Okay. Well, maybe some of the viewers don't know this.
That's true.
You used to have...
I used to have long hair.
Right?
Like if you stalk my Facebook, check out the wedding pictures. That is... they've got long hair.
Okay.
I had it up in the old man bun.
Yeah.
Yep. Not an old man bun.
So
just man bun,
you know what it's like to get your hair...
It hurts.
Caught and tied up into something.
It hurts.
Yeah.
Bad. And that's what Samson's saying. Hey, if you could get me tied up into this, then I wouldn't be able to get out. And here's the thing, though. Like you said, we're inching towards the truth.
Yes.
We're inching towards the truth. But what do we see on this one?
We see that it happens.
Yep.
And let's see here. Let me just read these verses. Where's it at? I'll read verses 14.
Yep.
And it says this, then she tightened it with the loom shuttle. And again, she cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. But Samson woke up and pulled back the loom shuttle and yanked his hair away from the loom and the fabric.
Yep.
First off, you got to think that would hurt. a little bit.
You're losing at least a little bit of hair, probably.
Anytime like someone like yanks hair from anything, like my dad, he used to play this trick on me where he would like, whenever I was like growing up and going through puberty, I started to get leg hairs on my leg.
Yeah.
And he would just come up to me and like pull a few off, and he was like, oh, I just want to make sure they were real. You know, like trying to mess with me. But that even caused like a little bit of sting. I'm like,
your eyes water a little bit.
That hurt.
Yeah.
I can't imagine and his hair has to be long. Like super long.
7 braids that haven't been cut.
Your hair's not
birth.
just like long-ish for 7 braids. This has to be long. That whole thing gets yanked out of it.
Yep.
And he's still strong.
Yeah.
He still has his strength.
Has the strength.
And finally, we see what will make him lose his strength. And what is that?
Verse 17. Finally, Samson shared his secret with her. My hair has never been cut, he confessed.
Boom.
For I was dedicated to God as a Nazirite from birth. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me and I would become as weak as anyone else.
Boom.
And it says immediately that Delilah realized that one was the truth.
That's the
first 3 obvious lies. That one, he was telling me the truth.
So what does she do as a result of him telling her that? Obviously, she tries again.
Yeah,
right?
Goes
She's
back
like,
to the guy, says,
this is the truth.
He confided
I think I got
in
it.
me.
Yeah.
I really know what's going on. Here's the play. And so we see what happens is Delilah lulls Samson to sleep, gets him asleep, and then goes, I don't know why she didn't do it herself, but it says she goes and gets a guy to shave his hair. And it is slowly, as the hair is shaved, that strength is...
I'm sorry. I just love that you made that noise back. That was so funny.
Slowly, that strength just goes away. And he goes back to being a regular guy who doesn't have any extra strength. And again, the Philistines are in the back corner. And this time she calls out, oh my gosh, the Philistines are coming again. And he wakes up ready to solve the problem.
There's only one problem.
There is one problem.
And that is no strength.
There's no strength. The strength is gone. The hair's gone. And I think it's so important to note here that, like, in my mind, at this point, like, Samson, first of all, like, she keeps coming at him. And it says, like, she nags him. And he's just tired of it and is foolish and gives up the true secret. But I think there's probably a part of Samson, too, that is like, you know, he's been strong all his life. Is cutting my hair really going to, like, end this strength, you know? Or am I actually just strong? But turns out, you know, no matter what he was thinking, he woke up and happened. The strength was gone.
His strength was gone.
And it's because, I think it's important to note, it's not because necessarily that the hair was gone, because the hair didn't hold the strength, but the hair signified the promise that God had made. And when he stopped believing or stopped keeping his side of the vow, that is when the strength lost.
What God has given him was gone.
Cutting the hair, and so he lost it all.
That was just fun to actually like play that out, like each scenario. But we see that, you know, Delilah finally sees what the truth is. She tells him, and his strength is gone. And like kind of like you said, like I kind of picture Samson just kind of feeling like I don't know how Samson would feel in that moment. Just so much probably like defeat and like a sense of like fear and like worried about what's next, and like kind of like a wow, like why did I ever put my trust into Delilah as this girl that I loved, as this girl that you know, he was around a lot, and he shared. The other ones were lies, but like he had probably never told anybody ever before, this is how my strength, how I have it, and so even though they were lies, like he trusted her with something as big as that. And you would have to think like he's just feeling this overwhelming sense of defeat in that moment. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when the Philistines come in and he doesn't have his strength anymore, it says that they gouge his eyes out. So yeah, he's feeling defeated in a whole way. He's never felt defeat before. Yeah, he's lost his strength. Defeat. Now he's blind. We continue and we see that they're like torturing him.
Yeah, what happens next?
Well, they're torturing him, and eventually it says that like the people end up it says they're half drunk at this point, and they demand that they bring Samson out to be amused by him, so that they again can laugh at him, torture him. And it says that Samson asks the young servant that's leading him. He says, "Hey, would you rest my hands against the pillar that's like the pillars that are next to me? I just need to rest." And so the guy does, and it's in that moment that Samson prays and says, God, would you give me strength one more time to knock down the roof of this building, to wipe out these Philistine people that are torturing me and making a fool of me. And we see that God grants him that moment of strength, and he knocks down the pillars.
Yeah.
And he ends up killing more Philistines there in that moment than he has killed up to this point.
Yeah, verse 30 says, he prayed, let me die with the Philistines. And the temple crashed down on the Philistine rulers and all the people. So he killed more people when he died than he had during his entire lifetime.
Yep.
And so, like kind of we said in the beginning, he was really good in war, like really good in battle. He was super strong. So he would be kind of like the guy that like on the front lines, like he's the main point for battle. And that's wild to think that like in this moment, like since he's the main dude in battle, he's going to be in a lot of wars and fighting a lot. Like he does more damage in this moment than his entire life.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like a part that, you know, a lot of people forget, like, especially I did growing up. Like I said at the beginning, I just focused on Samson's strength and his hair and everything that happens like that. But I think it's important to focus on how, you know, like where he turns to in his last moments, which was the Lord.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's easy to forget, but really good to remember.
Yes. Yeah.
Also.
I think too, that this story is such an important reminder that it absolutely matters who you let in your life.
Big time.
Because Samson's like, Samson really has two big mistakes here. One, he either forgets about his vow or decides it doesn't matter anymore and lets his hair be cut. Okay, number one. Number two, he let Delilah in, and Delilah obviously does not have his best interest at heart, proves that, and he still is spending all of his time around Delilah. And I think that's important to, an important reminder to us and in our lives even today of like the friends that we spend our time with, the people that we date, eventually the people that we choose to marry, the people that we're letting be around us and we're letting in the most matters so much, because it's important to have people that are like in and that we trust. But it's also important to make sure that they're trustworthy and that they're not going to use the, you know, the parts of your life that you share with them against you like Delilah does.
Yeah, that's good. I've heard the phrase, I'm sure you've heard it, many people watching have heard it, like, if you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And so kind of like this idea, like, are the people in your life, like if you could think for a moment, are the main people in your life pushing you towards the things of God and pushing you towards godliness and even like in the things you talk about, like we see here in this story, Samson or Delilah is not pushing Samson towards the things of God, towards godliness. She's pushing him away from it completely. And so maybe even like in your own life, if you could stop and think, okay, who's my main circle of influence, the main people around me, where are they pushing me towards? Because they're going to push you in one of two directions, towards Jesus, towards God, towards the things of God, or the opposite direction, away from it. And so I love that reminder and challenge that we see here big time in the story.
It's awesome. Just another Old Testament story that's so applicable to modern day, which is awesome. But awesome. Well, Isaac, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Love to do this. Like Isaac said in the beginning, this is stop 17, not stop 1. So if you haven't watched stop 1 through 16, I recommend you go back and get caught up. Because we're going to be doing this all the way through the Flyover plan of the Bible. We want this to be a resource for you and your people, your friends, your family to sit down and study through together. So
get that friend group together, get your small group, get that group you're in on Sunday or whenever you guys meet, and watch these. Watch our discussion, but discuss it amongst yourselves too. Like we want you guys to be able to grow with this, not just videos you can watch, but so you can actually apply to your life and grow. And also I want to shout this out too. Encounter Conference. I know that's kind of like a hard shift and we're going there. Encounter Conference, April 21st through the 23rd.
That's right.
We don't want you to miss it. Sign up today. The link is in our Instagram bio. We want you to be there. Best weekend of your life. Invite your friends. It's going to be an amazing time. We want you there.
Yep. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share it with anybody who needs to hear this.
Oh, yeah.
And we will see you next week.
See you guys.